Hey, what's up, guys? Anybody in the house? Looks like we got 2 live attendees. Boom. Hopefully a lot of people are going to be watching this on replay now that Fiveable is, all the information is free. So hopefully that's why we don't have as many live attendees, but that's all right. I know people are going to be watching it later, checking it out. Tonight we're going to be talking about sustainability, especially sustainable cities. Anybody out there? Anybody live watching? Again, it looks like on my end I can see the 2. Oh, Malia's there. Very nice. What's up, Malia? And we got one more. Hopefully some people will be rolling in. All right. I think I need to share. I need to share my screen with you guys. Let's do that. No, I don't want to do that. All right, we're going to get into it. What are we doing tonight? All right. So we have, as I said, sustainability and challenges to sustainable cities. March 10th, 7 p.m. Right now, it's happening, people. It's all over it. It's going crazy. All right. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If you do, if you look down low, like right there, it says ask a question. If you guys have any questions about any of the content that I'm talking about, please feel free to ask a question. What's up? Hugh is in the house as well. Good to see you, Hugh. Oh, what's this here? Toggle mic, toggle video. Oh, share screen. I'm going to need to do that. All right. Let's do, hold on. I think it's the Chrome tab. Oh, no, it's the application window. Let's do that. Boom. I think we're doing that. I'm screen sharing. Oh, what's up? I'm the little guy in the corner over here. All right, let's see what you guys can see. All right. Whoa. A lot going on there. All right. No, do Chrome tab. Oh, maybe. All right. Oh, Harrison's done this before. All right. Harrison, I'm going to go with you then, bud. Let's see. How do I go back? How did I do that before? Let's close the video. All right, let's try that again. I'm going with Harrison said. Share screen, Chrome tab. Ooh. Harrison, you are the man. Yes, let's do that. Boom. That's what we want to share right there. Problem is I still need to go kind of go back and forth a little bit, right? Are you guys okay? All right. I can get rid of that. Harrison, yes. All right, we did our training together. Harrison's the man. All right, Harrison, I'm going to talk about sustainability tonight. Presenter view. Where, you know what? Harrison, this is what I'm going to show you. You're talking about on my Chrome thing, right? Presenter view. This is what my presenter view looks like. Arrow on present. I don't know what that means. Hold on. Oh, no, Harrison's somebody else. So if I do presenter view, this is what happens. All right, never mind. I'm telling you, my presenter view stinks. No worries. Okay, we're going to get into it. I'm just going to toggle back and forth. I'll figure it out. I did it last time. No worries. Let's do it. All right, we're going to hover over there. All right. What does, all right, as I said, not a ton of live people. That's okay. I'm going to, all right. What do we have coming up at Fiveable? Not a lot of live people, but that's okay. We got tons of great stuff coming up on Fiveable, and we actually have some stuff from yesterday. Now, you might be thinking, why am I pitching something that happened yesterday? I don't have a DeLorean with a flux capacitor. Well, now that everything is free on Fiveable, all right, you can check that out in the replay. So last night, if any of you guys have AP Language or AP Lit, all right, they were talking about a synthesis review of body paragraphs and a prose analysis. evidence and commentary last night. They also talked about the coronavirus at 8:30 in AP Gov. What you guys need to know. It's very important. It's all over the news. We'll talk about it a little bit tonight. All right. After this, if you're another social studies person, you can look at AP Psych clinical anxiety and mood disorders. I talked psych last year. Some very interesting stuff there. Tomorrow night, they're doing that's AP environmental, which deals a lot of similar stuff as AP Human Geography does. If any of you guys have AP Human Geography this year, in the future, you should take AP environmental science. A lot of it overlaps. And tomorrow night, they're going to talk about air pollution. Even if you don't have that right now, some of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight is very applicable, all right, to AP Environmental. And the AP Environmental stuff that they're going to talk about is applicable to AP Human Geography. So even if you don't have that class, you might want to check that one out. Or watch the replay afterwards. On Thursday, looks like they got a bunch of DBQs. They got one for AP World. I think that's at 7 o'clock. And then another one for AP Euro at 8 o'clock. All right. And then for A Push, talk about the 50s and the 60s. Okay, Boomer? Everybody got it. So we got lots of great stuff that is coming up, all right, on Fiveable. Okay. Everybody still with me there? All right. So follow us at Think Fiveable on Twitter, on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Again, tons of great information at Think Fiveable. If you like our stuff, follow, subscribe, share it with your other AP friends, with anyone and everyone, anybody that's interested in learning anything. All right. Fiveable's got great information, great resources. Everything's free now, so check it out. Okay. All right. What are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about a number of things. All right. What is sustainability? And we'll actually start with why it's important to learn about sustainability. We're going to look more specifically at urban sustainability, and I'll talk about why when we get there. All right. And then we're going to look at some of the challenges to sustainable cities. If we have time at the end, which I think we should, we have multiple choice questions. This is very important. It's in Unit 6 of the AP Human Geography, talking about sustainability, energy development, that sort of stuff. It shows up on multiple choice questions. It's possibly going to show up on FRQs. I know 2 years ago, there was a question about urban sustainability, slow growth cities, stuff like that. So it is very important to study, all right, for my people that are hoping to get, 4s and especially 5s in the 5. There we go. All right. In the Human Geography AP test, May 5th, less than 2 months away, people. All right. Okay. All right. So why is sustainability important, first of all? All right. So if you look at non-renewable resources, okay, things that we use like petroleum, like natural gas, like coal, all right, this is an estimate of when we are going to run out of those materials. This was provided by the Rubenstein text, okay? So this was probably a couple years ago that they're saying. So hopefully in my lifetime, we're possibly going to run out of petroleum. We're going to run out of natural gas. Okay. Coal, not in my lifetime, unless I live to be like 180 years old. Right. But all of these non-renewable resources that have taken millions and millions of years, we have used up in, a little less than 200 years. It'll be like 250, 300 years. All right. If we're going at the same rate that we are right now. Okay. All right, and then what is currently going on with the population of the planet? Any of my live people out there tell me? What's going on? I'm at the wrong spot. Hold on. So what's going on with the population of the planet right now, people? Can anybody tell me? There you go. I'm going to ask a question. There we go. What's going on with the population of the planet right now. Ahora mismo. Can anybody tell me? Anybody that's on there? Hugh, Malia, what do we got? Let's see, who else is here? Wow, we have one live attendee. All right, well, I'll tell you what's going on with the population of the planet. All right, it is going up. It's going up and up and up. All right, it is. We're at 7.8 billion people. They think by 2024 we're going to be at 8 billion people. By 2050 we might be at 10 billion people. Okay, so with that, we are creating more and more energy, more and more pollution. Okay, so it is very important that we be sustainable. Okay. All right. So what is sustainability? It is the the use of Earth's resources in ways that ensure their availability in the future. All right. Some examples out there. Okay. See if you guys can tell what this is right here. Okay. Some people that signed up that aren't here. That's right. Okay. So this is actually a satellite picture of my garage. Okay. And right here on these panels, all right, what are they? Those are solar panels. Okay. They are solar panels, and we installed them about 12 years ago. All right. And our entire house is energized by that solar energy that is produced by the solar panels that are on top of our roof. Okay. So we're trying to be as sustainable as possible. Now, the United States doesn't produce, we're actually the fifth country that produces the most solar energy. The country that produces the most solar energy, you want to know? I got it right here. All right. It is, boom, Deutschland. It is Germany. Germany produces the most solar energy in the world. Actually, the top three are all European countries. Number one is Germany. Number two is Spain. Number three is Italy. Number four is the most developed Asian country in the world. That would be Japan. And five is the United States. Okay. And the state in the United States that produces more solar energy than any other state is California. All right. California does. Okay. But hopefully in the future, all right, we're producing more and more solar energy. All right. It's something that is renewable. Okay. All right. So that is solar panels. Oh, somebody's calling. Probably a telemarketer. I'm not going to pick that up. All right. Okay. So this right here, all right, you can see these wind turbines. All right. That is wind energy. Another example of a sustainable energy source. Okay. What countries produce lots of solar energy or wind energy? All right. The number one wind energy producer in the world is China. All right. China has built fields and fields of wind energy, and they produce the most. I'm not sure if it's the most per capita because they have, obviously, they're the most populated city or country in the world. All right. But they produce by far the most wind energy. The United States is number two. Germany is number three. India is number four. And Spain is number five. So a number of those European countries, all right, Spain and Germany in the top five in both. I know that Germany is hoping their goal is that by 2050, 100% of their energy will be from renewable energy. Okay. So hopefully, the United States and some of the other developed world and eventually the developing world are following suit, because as I saw in that one of those first slides, we're gonna be running out of non-renewable energy sooner than you think. Okay. All right. So let's see if I can do this. I already gotta go back and forth. That's okay. All right. So here we have, okay, another example of sustainable energy. This is the hydroelectric dam that is right near Niagara Falls. Okay, I don't know if any of you guys have ever been to Niagara Falls. You can see the Canadian flag right here. Okay, and you can see uh, some of the casinos and stuff that are prevalent in Niagara Falls in the background. Canada produces about 75% of their energy, I think, is hydroelectric power. Oh, I got my Canada shirt too. Boom. All right. We have Canada. They actually don't produce the most hydroelectricity in the world. Again, that is China is number one. China has utilized a lot of dams. There's actually been some controversy, I know, with the removal of some people so they could build the dam. And Brazil uses a lot. The United States is fourth. Russia is fifth. It makes sense that Brazil and Canada use so much because Canada has tons of water. Niagara Falls produces tons and tons of energy because of the power that it's exerting, and that's another good example of a renewable energy source. Okay, and with Brazil, you have the Amazon River as well as the all the tributaries of the Amazon as well that that they can use for hydroelectricity. All right, all right. Now we have this last example, unless I'm missing another one. Okay, so this right here. Okay, click to close. There we go. Oh, that's what I should have done before. Okay. This right here is a picture that probably my wife took. I don't think I took it. All right, when we were in what country, you ask? I've been to over 25 countries. I don't remember the exact number at this point. All right, but one of my favorite countries in the entire world, all right, is Iceland. Boom, right there, right? Iceland is amazing, okay? This type of energy right there that is being produced, I think that, I don't know if you can tell, that's like a factory in the background. Anyway, that is a geothermal plant, all right? So they're using the, volcanic energy to produce energy. I think 99% of Iceland's energy comes from renewable energy, and about 30%, 35% comes from this geothermal energy. Now, why doesn't every country in the world use that? Well, the reason is honestly that geothermal energy isn't everywhere. Okay, Iceland is a very volcanic island. So they can harness that energy. Now, in the United States, we actually produce the most geothermal energy in the world. That's not per capita, okay? But we have been able to harness it. It's in certain areas like, if any of you guys ever been to like Yellowstone, okay? The Old Faithful, the geysers out there, it's all produced by geothermal energy, the liquid hot magma that's coming from underground. Okay. But there are other countries that use it. I think actually Kenya produces more or uses more of their more of the total energy that they use. I think they're the only country in the world that uses over 50% of their energy comes from geothermal energy. Then you also have like the Philippines, El Salvador, but also New Zealand, Costa Rica are tied for fifth. But again, that is more of like a site factor. You need to have that energy there depending on where you're at to be able to use that, to be able to harness that, okay? Excuse me, I'm getting over a pneumonia, actually. I was out of school for about a week, 2 weeks ago. Okay, so that is sustainability. Let's move on here. What do we got? All right. So as we said, sustainability is the use of Earth's resources in ways that ensure their availability in the future. So the question is, how can we be sustainable? All right. Well, first we can do this. All right. We can reuse stuff. All right. We can reduce the amount that we're using or the amount of trash that we are producing. All right. And we can recycle. Now, recycling is good. You should be recycling. You should be recycling, paper, plastic, aluminum. There's tons of stuff that can be recycled, and whatever can be recycled should be recycled. I know that in my town, in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, recently they changed the policy of what you can put in the recycling can. So now we can put like plastic bags. All right, where we used to have to take them somewhere specifically. There were different stores that had them outside that recycled them. Now we can put them right in our recycling bin, our container. All right, so recycling is good, but reducing the amount that you're using can be even better. I know, like a good example is plastic water bottles. Okay, plastic water bottles are terribly wasteful. Okay, if you are using a plastic water bottle, instead of recycling it right away, you can reuse it. All right, go and fill it up again. All right, if you do need to do that. All right, I know that at the school that my wife worked at, she was the director of sustainability for a couple of years. She totally eliminated water bottles. So there's no bottles of water. It might be all bottled goods. I'm not 100% about that. But anyway, every student got one of these. They got like a recyclable, or not a recyclable, a canister that they could use, and they have these, not water fountains, but like refilling stations all over the campus that they can use. So those are better. So make sure that you're reusing stuff. All right, you're reducing it. Looks like, oh, we're up to like 3 people out there. All right, what's up? Who's out there? I got some questions for people. If you're there, don't be shy. There's like only 3 of you right now, but that's okay. All right, this is going to be a huge hit. There's going to be millions watching it later. All right. Nobody wants to jump in. Okay. All right. So how can we be sustainable? We can do that. All right. Now, as I said, recycling is good, but it's not great. Okay. So here are the different levels of recycling. All right. Disposal is the worst. Just throwing stuff out. Okay. Can be a waste. All right. But trying to recover that energy. All right. Somehow. All right. That stuff that you're disposing of is next. And then recycling it. All right. When you're recycling plastic bottles, stuff like that. Okay. You are recycling it and it is being reused, but it's being downgraded to something worse. Typically, I've heard of it, instead of calling it recycling, it's more like downcycling. Okay, reusing it is the best. Again, I'm going to use like a water bottle as an example. Instead of just throwing it out, why not fill it up again? Use it from the water fountain, or if you have like my school does. All right, the refilling stations. All right, minimizing the amount you are. Again, instead of using a water bottle, use a refillable water canister that you can use. All right, or just prevention altogether. All right, so maybe just not buying water bottles. I know that's what I do. So, I have to admit, I sometimes will drink from a water bottle if it's given to me. If I'm somewhere where they have water and that's the only option, I'll do that. Okay. So those are some of the ways that we can be sustainable. All right. All right. Looking at urban sustainability here. Okay. So how can cities be sustainable? Actually, a better question is like, why are we looking specifically at cities? Can anybody tell me? Come on, 2 of my, somebody from some my human geography classes on here. She should be able to answer this one. All right. Why are we looking specifically at cities? Come on, Tori. You're all over this one. Tori Donnell. She's got it. Why do we care about cities so much? Why aren't we looking at like rural sustainability? All right. Tori doesn't want to answer. Maybe she's not paying attention. Just like class. All right. So we're looking at cities specifically because cities are putting out much more, a much bigger pollution. All right, a lot more people. All right, a lot more buildings. A lot more people driving cars. All right, that causes a huge ecological footprint. Okay, so we're trying to reduce that, and more people live in cities now than ever before. In 2008 was the first, 2007, 2008, around there was the first time ever that over 50% of the people in the world lived in cities, and cities are getting bigger and bigger every year. The percentage of people continues to go up. All right, urbanization around the world is creating these mega cities of over 10 million people, right? That's causing more and more pollution. All right, so that's why we're looking at it. Okay, so urban sustainability, mixed land use. So there are in some cities there are like zoning laws of where they can have residential areas, where they can have business areas, where they can have parks, things like that. Okay, so the mixed land use is getting rid of those zones. All right, so they're using these zones for all of those things. Okay, so this right here is an example. I don't know if you guys can see it. All right, they're showing different. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. All right, they're using like so the purple is transit stations. Okay, so they're having more better transportation around. Okay, the red is retail use. It's retail mixed use, so it could be retail and maybe people are living on the top of some of those businesses there. You can actually see that in this picture here. So these are residences up here. All right, and down here there are stores. Okay, so the pink are offices. Okay, around here, and then we have residential mixed use. All right, so which again could be like this. All right, so then we have residential areas, and then parks and open space. All right, and then civic use and public facilities. This is all in like one spot. Okay, they're trying to cut down on a number of things. One of the things they're really trying to cut down on is the amount of driving that people do. Okay, so walkability is huge, and I should have put on there bikeability too. All right, if you can walk or you can bike, your carbon footprint is zero, and that is ultimately what people want. Okay. All right. So then they also have this transportation-oriented development. Thinking that everybody can walk and bike to work would be ideal, but it's not the reality of the situation. Okay, so up here we have we have like a tram. All right, but being available to walk to like your nearest tram station or bus station or train station, whatever it may be, is ideal, and that's what some of these urban planners are trying to do to cut down on the amount of people that are driving. All right. So the footprint of the city is not as bad. Now you might be thinking like, well, if I take the buses use tons of, they're producing tons of carbon monoxide, and that's true. Yeah, but think of it this way: if there's 50 people on that bus, the amount of pollution that bus is causing is not as much as if those 50 people were driving 50 cars. Okay, so that can cut down on again the carbon footprint that they have. All right. Walkability here. So you guys might be able to see this is actually my hometown. Well, not my hometown. This is where I live right now. Okay, so kind of my hometown. But this right here, these are bike lanes. All right, that were recently installed within the last year or two. Okay, they're trying to get people to drive less, bike more. And what I see is not here. This is the main strip right here. Okay, but there are a number of people that will walk on them sometimes. All right, so they're increasing the walkability as well as the bikeability. So that's huge. In fact, I know that. I'm rocking I'm rocking my Denmark shirt right here. Okay, that the capital of Denmark, Copenhagen, the mayor recently, and I'll have to put this in the resources when I am done. There's a great YouTube clip that they are trying to become the first city in the world that is that their carbon footprint is less than 0. All right, so per person, all right, they are their carbon footprint is 0 or less. Okay. All right. So those are 3 of the things in urban sustainability. All right, let's move on here. We have, okay, we're rolling here. All right. So some of the smart growth policies that some urban planners are trying to implement. We have new urbanism. What is new urbanism? That's a great question. All right. I wrote down my definition here so I wouldn't forget. All right. New urbanism focuses on development, urban revitalization, suburban reforms that create walkable or bikeable, all right, neighborhoods with a diverse Oh, I'm back. So I don't know what happened. All right, my computer froze, not working real well. All right, let me see this. Chrome tab. Boom, let's do that. All right. You guys see my stuff. All right, there we go. Okay. Sorry, this is where we left off. I don't know if you guys heard. New urbanism. All right. New urbanism focuses on development, urban revitalization, suburban reforms that create walkable, bikeable neighborhoods with a diversity of housing and jobs. Okay. So if you look at like this right here, okay, so that's an example of like new urbanism. All right. So they're setting up like a city park here. All right. They have a little bit of a park. All right. A little bit of grass. Okay. But there are places you can live, but also businesses that are set up around here. Okay. Again, they're trying to make things walkable so people can walk to work, they can bike to work. All right. They can buy their groceries, they can buy everything they need all in one spot. That is the example of new urbanism. Okay. Then you have green belts. Who's on here? My live attendees. All right. Sal, Kirsten, Apoorva, you got to tell me, what country is this right here? That's a map of what country. You guys are all over it. What do we think? Come on. Somebody give me a question to answer right correctly. What country is that? Got it. Help me out. No, I don't know. They're not figuring it out. Okay. All right. That is the United Kingdom. Okay. These things that you can see, these green things, all right, are green belts. Okay. What is a green belt? Well, what they do is, excuse me, they will specifically have like forests and green and parks, all right, that they build and they're not allowed to develop on outside of cities. So it is a belt that is surrounding the city that is all of forests or trees, parks, green. It's stuff that you're not allowed to build anything on. Those are called green belts. All right. So that is something that they're implementing, and that is a very good way to reduce urban sprawl and suburban sprawl. All right. If you only have a certain amount of limit of places you can go to, all right, then that's it. All right. The city can't build any further. All right. They also have slow growth cities. So what a number of urban planners are doing is they are figuring out ways in which, what's up, Carol boys? All right, Max Tyrell's in the house. What's up, Max? They are, so Max, tell me this. What city is this right here, Max? You're all over. This is a layup, bud. It's a gimme. All right, while Max is thinking about that. So these slow growth cities, these urban planners, what they're doing is, all right, they're figuring out that they're having like, a 5-year plan. They're having a 10-year plan. They're having a 20-year plan of when they're actually going to implement some things or build some things, right? Leave some things. So this city right here, Max couldn't figure it out. All right, that is Philadelphia, okay? So that is, I told you I live in Pottstown. All right, Philadelphia is about 25 miles away from Pottstown. Okay, so I'm in the suburbs of Philly. I am unfortunately, I'm a victim of urban or suburban sprawl. Okay. Anyway, Philadelphia, okay, can't really grow. The pick on the bottom right is Philly. Yes, Max got it. Good stuff. Okay. So within the last 30 years, all right, Philadelphia can't grow too far out. All right. The city can't, but the suburbs could. Anyway, if you look at these buildings, okay, this is the Comcast Tower. All right. That was built in the last, I'm going to say 15, 20 years. Okay. This is Liberty 1 and Liberty 2. They were built within the last 25 or 30 years. If any of you guys have ever seen the movie Rocky, all right, Rocky runs to the top of the art museum steps, right? He puts his arms up. Yo, Sal, what's up? All right, and he is. You can see the tallest building in Philadelphia at the time was City Hall. Okay. That movie was made in 1976. Since then, all right, all of these buildings have been made. All right. They have been built. Okay. So what used to be the tallest city in the or the tallest building in Philadelphia in 1983 is now the 12th. Okay, and that's happening all over the world. These slow growth cities, all right, where cities are building up, and that is causing or creating, you know, more retail space, more business space, uh, more housing. Okay, I don't know if you guys have gotten to the urban um, section yet, but in skyscrapers, all right, typically there's retail on the bottom, all right. There's business space, all right, in the middle, and then at the top there are residences. Okay, well that's sort of slow growth. All right, they're finding ways. All right, they're building up. Okay, all right. Where are we at? That was Philadelphia. Okay, here we go. So some benefits of these urban design initiatives. They're reducing urban sprawl, urban and suburban sprawl. All right, with things like green belts. All right, or what else do we say? The slow growth cities. All right, the new urbanism. All right, because people don't need to travel as far. Okay. Improved walkability, transportation, bikeability, all right, availability to just get around the city without driving, all right, reducing your carbon footprint, all right, especially with personal cars, okay. Improved and diverse housing options, okay. This right here, all right, is in Braddock, Pennsylvania. Braddock, Pennsylvania is out by Pittsburgh, all right, and that is a very good example of a city that was recently revitalized. Okay, they had a mayor by the name of John Fetterman that came in and did a lot of stuff. So we're talking about like diverse housing options. What are we talking about? I'm talking about like they repurposed churches that were not being used anymore, that were kind of falling apart, and people went in and they redid them, and people were living in churches. I know outside of Philadelphia in Manayunk, I had a friend that lived in a building that used to be a warehouse, all right, or used to be a factory. Okay, so that's repurposing and finding different places, all right, where instead of just tearing a building down, all right, they're repurposing that, they're reusing it, all right, and having people live there. Okay, yeah, I'm talking about reduction of sprawl. I wanted to mention here, this is Tokyo. All right, Tokyo, the largest city in the world, is like 30 million people. You can see how far it is spreading out here. Okay, so its sprawl is, might be one of the worst in the world. Okay, improved livability and promotion of sustainable options. Okay, so with livability, we're talking about, as I said, if you live in the city, right, implementing parks. Central Park is a good example. All right, why'd they put a giant park in the middle of New York City? All right, well, because people want to go and walk their dogs and be in nature. Okay, so that's improving the livability, as is transportation options and other things like that. All right, and the promotion of sustainable options. This building is super cool. All right, this is in Milan, Italy. Okay, and if you look at the skyscraper, if you look real close, all right, there are literally trees growing inside of this building. All right, it was designed by some, I don't know, super brilliant architect whose name I can't remember right now. All right, but this is one of the most sustainable buildings in the world in Milan, and people were lining up and paying loads and loads of money to live in this building that is very sustainable, literally has trees inside and outside on the balconies. Okay, now that's a bit extreme, but maybe in the future, that's what we're talking about with these urban designs and being sustainable all over the world. Okay. All right. Moving on. What else we got? Oh, so that was benefits of urban design. These are some detriments of urban design. All right. Sometimes housing's going up. I talked about that building in Milan. All right. That was very, very expensive. Okay. So this was a map that I found. All right. That had in 2017. All right. The hours you needed to work per week. All right. If you were making minimum wage to afford rent, the average rent in that state. Okay. So I'm in Pennsylvania right here. Hold on. Let me see. In Pennsylvania, it was like 91 hours you need to work. All right. To afford rent. All right. In New York, it was over 100 hours. Okay. Let's let's see, in California, it was like 52 hours. All right. So we're talking about, all right, almost impossible if you're making minimum wage, all right, to live in some of these places, especially when you're talking about like new urbanism. Some of you guys might have talked about like gentrification. Those buildings are very, very expensive. Okay. Especially when you're talking about inside of cities, especially when they're redoing new places. All right. Now, if you're moving to Braddock, Pennsylvania, all right, which the real estate there is actually really cheap. So it really depends on where you are living. Okay. Then we're also talking about de facto segregation. What does de facto segregation means? It's segregation, but it's not. It's not like apartheid where it was the law that you had to do this. De facto is because of increased housing costs. Sometimes the only people that can afford it, all right, it causes it to be, typically a homogenous population that's living there. All right, so it's not as many minorities that can afford to live in some of these places. All right, and sometimes if you guys have talked about gentrification, all right, where they're like redoing these old neighborhoods to make them up and nice again. Sometimes the people that were living there in the first place are forced out because of prices. All right, so those are examples of de facto segregation. All right, also loss of historical place or loss of history or place character. All right, so in some of these places, unfortunately, they're not reusing some of the places. Sometimes they're just knocking it down. All right, so they're losing some of the history. It's losing some of the character. All right, and so it's not the stuff that used to be there. It's new stuff that they're creating. Okay, all right. Challenges of urban sustainability. All right. I think this is the last slide prior to some multiple choice questions, which I might need to answer by myself. But let's say, all right, here we go. Challenges of urban sustainability. All right. Suburban sprawl. As I said, some places are going further and further and further out. I live in Pottstown and I commute to not exactly Philadelphia, but close to Philadelphia. All right. So that's an example of suburban sprawl. I travel about 25 miles to school. It's far. And you might be like, oh, Mr. Scanlon, that's crazy. All right. It is kind of crazy. But there are, I think, 4 people in the faculty of the school that I work at that are traveling from the same exact place. Okay. So sanitation is a huge issue. All right. When you're talking about like infrastructure in cities. All right. And not as much in the developed world as it is in the developing world. But in the developing world, that is where urbanization is going up the most. All right. You're talking about like in India and cities like New Delhi. All right. In Dhaka and Dhaka in Bangladesh. Okay. In like Bangkok in Malaysia. All right. The amount of people is going way, way up. They might not necessarily have the infrastructure. All right. That includes or that means that there's bad sanitation. And what happens is without proper sanitation, disease goes up, becomes much more prevalent. And that could be a bad thing. All right. Climate change all over the world is obviously a huge issue, especially in cities. Okay. Again, we're causing more and more carbon emissions in cities because of the more people, because of the more cars, because of the more buildings. So that is causing climate change. All right. Air and water quality. You can see in this photo right here, that's in Poland. All right. Glasgow kids need clean air, and these people are wearing masks. I know that in some cities in China at times, here in Pennsylvania, occasionally we have snow days. Kids have been getting off more recently for some other things. We talked about the coronavirus earlier. A number of school districts had off for that today. All right. But in China, sometimes the kids are getting off because the air quality is so bad that they don't want them walking to school. All right. And that is typically in these large mega cities of like over 10 million people. Okay. So air and water quality can be a huge issue. As I talked about, the ecological footprint in cities is very huge because of the energy use, because of the amount of people, because of the amount of businesses, because the cars, the transportation, the amount of people that are there. All right. Hopefully this all made sense. And now you guys can answer. One more. I lied. All right. Challenges of urban sustainability. All right. Oh, you know what? And this was just another slide. That's the same one. All right. But here's energy consumption. We talked about one of those first slides. All right. The amount of oil that is being used. This is from the 1960s to like the present day. All right. Here it is. This is the amount of coal that is being used. That continues to go up. All right. And then this is the amount of gas. All right. Where the red is nuclear energy, which we don't really talk about too much. All right. And then the other one is sustainable energy. It's gone up a little bit. Sorry, renewable energy or sustainable energy. All right, not going up maybe as much as it could, as much as it should, as much as it's going to need to go up over the next 20, 30, 40 years. Okay. All right. Let's get to it. Multiple choice. Wait, where is my? Oh, I got one more. I lied again. All right. Responses to the urban sustainability challenge, right? So there's regional planning efforts, as I talked about with some of the urban planners. All right. They are trying to find ways they can do this. All right. Remediation and redevelopment of brownfields. Right. What's a brownfield? Well, if you look right here, okay, this is, like a factory that has been torn down or is falling apart. Okay, so sometimes what they'll do is, if they need to, they'll tear the whole thing down. All right, and they'll turn it into something else. Okay, so turn into a park. All right, turn into I don't know, something that the residents of that town can use. So it's not an eyesore, but it's also being used for something that is ecological, something that people need. Okay. So then we have establishment of urban growth boundaries. Remember, I talked about the green belts. That's a great way in which cities are doing that. So the sprawl, the urban sprawl, the suburban sprawl is limited there. Okay. And then lastly, we have farmland protection. You guys have probably talked about the agricultural unit so far. When you talk about farmland protection, a lot of farmland is being bought by developers. All right. It's being bought and they're turning it into strip malls, or they're turning it into business offices, or they're turning it into, residential neighborhoods. Okay. So if there are farmland protections, like certain laws on the books, then that can't be done. They can't be bought for that. All right. Let's see. Who is our attendee here? All right. Let's see. We can do it. All right. First multiple choice question. All right. Many medium-sized metropolitan areas have added light rail train systems to their public transit networks. Which of the following best explains the goal of light rail projects? A, B, C, D, or E? I'm going to wait for the people who are restreaming this or watching the replay, all right, to read all those, and hopefully you can figure it out. All right, let's look at these. Hopefully you did not think it's to reduce highway accident numbers due to unsafe driving and outdated, less safe vehicles. I know where you're at that has less safe vehicles. That is not the case. Again, they're not trying to get rid of accidents for this reason, okay? Protect wetlands and local lakes from water pollution caused by industrial waste discharge. That might be happening, but that's not light rail. That's not why places are trying to implement light rails, okay? Let's skip C. If you thought it was C, I think you're right, but let's look at why it's not D or E. All right, D, redevelop urban brownfields and promote farmland protection policies that reduce urban sprawl. That's something that people are trying to do, but it does not answer this question specifically about light rail projects, all right? And E, plan for sustainable residential zoning and establish an urban growth boundary around cities. Again, that's something that might be being done in these slow growth cities, all right? But it does not answer the specific question about light rail projects. And this one, they're trying to reduce the ecological footprint of cities and reduce air pollution created by vehicle exhaust, okay? All right, two more. New urbanism is an example of sustainable urban development. This type of development is intended to do what? I'll give you some time. Think it over. What do we got? A, B, C, D, or E? What do we think? All right, let's look at the possible answers that it could have been here. It could have been A, reduce the miles driven on personal vehicles. Yes, that's what it's trying to do. Absolutely. Okay, definitely. So the last two questions were sort of similar, right? But they're trying to cut down on the amount of people that are driving their own vehicle, right? By making things more walkable, by making them more bikeable, all right? By increasing, public transportation that they can use, all right? So, hey, if you thought it was A, way to go. You rock. All right. B, increase the need for senior housing. No, new urbanism has nothing to do with that. All right. Increase the need for shopping mall development. No. All right. Again, that is being less sustainable. All right. Decreasing the density of the urban area. They're not really worried about the density too much. Okay. And reducing the need for mass transit. No, they're trying to get hoping that people are using more transit. All right. More mass transit. All right, last one. This is a great question. I got all these questions right from the AP Classroom website, by the way. But this is a really good one. All right, this model here, boom. I was even able to copy the model. All right, represents zones that are present in many American cities. Which of the following design concepts of urban development is likely to have the most significant impact on the reduction of urban sprawl? So you guys might have talked about urbanism already, and it looks they have the different zones, right? There's the multiple nuclei zone, the concentric zone model, the Latin American model. There's all these different city models. All of them have these different zones for this. So this one looks most like the concentric zone model. All right. But which one of these is going to reduce the urban sprawl? All right. Let's take a look at our possibilities here. All right. Let's start with A. Let's go backwards. All right. Mixed use land development in zone 5. No, that's not going to help. Zone 5 is going too far out anyway. All right. You got to look at some of the ones that are closer. All right. This is urban sprawl that's going on already. All right. It's already coming out further and further from the central business district here. Okay. Construction of a large shopping mall in zone 1. That would probably never happen. All right. Remember, the closer the business district you get, the more expensive land is. Building a giant mall in the middle of a central business district is not a good example of urban or reducing urban sprawl. All right. C, gentrification of older housing in select neighborhoods in zone 3. No, I mean, that's going to cause more people to move into zone 3. It is low income residential housing. All right. But that's not going to reduce urban sprawl. All right. Remember, urban sprawl is getting further and further away. All right. Construction of a large family housing development in zone 4. I mean, they already have middle income residential. All right. So that's not really going to reduce it as well. All right. But transformation of warehouse space in zone 2 into high income rental properties. Yes, so that is repurposing or reusing or finding different ways to use residences. Okay. So if you have more people that are moving into around zone 2, less people are going to be moving into zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, and outside of these zones. Okay. So for that one, you should have gotten A. All right. All right. We are just about done here. To review, all right, what is sustainability? It is the use of Earth's resources in ways that ensure their availability in the future. We talked about different uses of energy. We talked about hydroelectricity. We talked about wind energy, solar energy, and geothermal energy, okay, as opposed to coal and petroleum and coal, which are non-renewable resources. Okay. So urban sustainability looked at mixed land use. All right. Where you're overlapping residences and businesses. All right. Transportation, parks, things like that. Okay. Walkability and bikeability. Again, if you're walking somewhere, if you're biking somewhere, your carbon footprint is 0. Okay. Better transportation. All right. So if you do need to take transportation somewhere, taking the train, taking the tram, taking the bus. Okay. And being able to access those by walking, by biking, things like that. All right. Smart growth policies. Okay. New urbanism, again, is similar to this mixed land use. All right. Is getting people to work closer to where they live. All right, so they don't have to go as far. All right, having businesses or shops where they can get everything that they need close to their house. All right, so they're reducing the amount of especially vehicle travel that they need to do. All right, green belt is reducing urban sprawl, suburban sprawl. All right, remember, it's these green areas that are built around cities where you're not allowed to build at all. Okay, and in England is the best example where they have green belts. Okay, slow growth cities where they're implementing things on a 5-year plan, on a 10-year plan, on a 20-year plan, right? But also the cities are building up in skyscrapers, things like that. Some of the challenges is sustainable cities, suburban sprawl, and urban sprawl. All right, people continue to move further and further out. That's getting rid of farmland, all right, and other land. Sanitation, especially in the developing world. All right, climate change and the ecological footprint that is going on, the air and water quality, especially in cities, because there are so many people, there's so many vehicles, there's so many buildings, all right, that are causing more and more pollution and using more and more energy. All right. Hopefully you guys learned something tonight. I know that I did. All right. So remember, if you like what you saw, go to, all right, follow us on Twitter at Fiveable, on Instagram at Fiveable, subscribe on YouTube. All right. Hopefully everybody's watching this tomorrow, the next day before the AP test, May 5th, people. Good luck, guys.